Welcome in to another edition of The Locker Room. I'm your host, Cade Crenshaw, joined today by Miss Catherine Averill. Once again, we're talking Major League Baseball, NBA All-Star Weekend, and also some big NFL offseason news this past week for you all right here on Capital City Sports. And Catherine, it's been an exciting week of sports. We've had the Astros come out and try to patch up things from their cheating scandal. Of course, pitchers and catchers are soon to report for spring training, which means season's getting closer and closer. No, college baseball season kicks off today across the country, which is an exciting time for me. I love college baseball. It's such a fun time, especially when you finally get to Omaha. It's always those special Omaha moments that you love. But Major League Baseball, for me right now, kind of has that dark cloud. And I think this is one of those generational things that every decade or so you have one of these blemishes, right? You go back, you had the steroid scandal. You had, even farther back, the Pete Rose cheating scandal. Here in the 2000s, we've had the Joe Nemesis scandal with Alex Rodriguez and that whole outfit. And even now, the Astros sign stealing scandal. For you, you saw their pseudo apology yesterday with their owner Jim Crane coming out and speaking. And let's go ahead and take a look at that clip of what Jim Crane had to say yesterday.
What do you have to say to the Yankees and teams that you beat in 17?
Listen, the Yankees have had a few comments out there. Our opinion is, that this didn't impact the game. We had a good team. We won the World Series, and we'll leave it at that.
Now, Catherine, for you saw that, him saying, quote, "We do not believe this impacted the game." What's your reaction?
I just don't know how he can confidently believe that. Obviously, it did impact the game. Otherwise, he wouldn't have still done it. His apology and the way he addressed the matter has just been weak and not proactive. You've been caught cheating, so there's no reason to act like you weren't doing anything wrong. You need to act up and own for what you've done. And he said that it didn't impact the game. And in an interview, Cody Yellinger went off. He said that it was not okay, that he thinks that the Astros stole the ring from them. And I agree with that, because there's no way that they wouldn't have won if they hadn't signed Stoll. But you can't be positive because they did cheat. But in my personal opinion, I don't think they would have been able to pull it off without cheating.
You know, to think that they're going to say this didn't impact the game, if it didn't impact the game, then why continue to do it? That's where I come from.
Exactly.
That's the side I stand on. If it did not help you, then why continue? There's no point. That's common sense in any aspect, right? And, Major League Baseball has said they're not going to take away their World Series title. Fans can put an asterisk beside it if they want to. Every fan that loves baseball and understands the game is going to put an asterisk beside that World Series. Not only because from 2017, but from the play they had in 2018 and even this past year in 2019, where they were right there at the championship as well. The Astros, to me, are just a fake team. They're a disgrace to baseball, that organization right now. And, we loved it when they won. Hey, the Astros are back, right? They're at the top of the world. It was all for nothing. It was all for nothing. And I think this really, really hurts baseball right now. And a game that's trying to move forward, trying to get a better image. They're implementing new rules. Even changed the postseason format this past weekend as well. This is not the situation that Major League Baseball needs to be in. For me, their World Series title needs to be vacated. For you, do you agree?
I do agree. I feel like their win is just very hollow, and I've lost respect that I have for the team, because you have to know personally that you didn't truly win. You didn't deserve that if you were cheating.
Now, the Astros are going to be a big storyline as we go out throughout the regular season this year, no doubt about that one. But looking around the league as a whole, spring training, like I said, just a few weeks away now. Looking at the season right now, who are some of those teams you're thinking, man, they may make a run at the World Series title this year?
I think the Yankees and Dodgers are going to be hot this year. They did good last season, and I'm excited to see where spring training brings them this year. You mentioned the Yankees there, and their team last year that was really, really good. They had two issues. They lacked pitching depth late in the season, and the injury bug struck them harder than any team in the league. They had more people listed on the injury report across the whole season than any other team in Major League Baseball. This offseason, they go and make that big move, signing Garrett Cole to that record-setting deal. They bring him in. That addresses the pitching depth issue, right? He had a great year with the Astros. Now,
how do you address the injury bug? Maybe some better strength and conditioning through spring training. Some issues need to be put in place in the Bronx to help that. Of course, oftentimes you can't, prevent it, right? You can't prevent these things. They just sometimes happen. But if the injury bug kind of scoots around Bronx, New York, I think the Yankees are going to be a dangerous, dangerous team this year. And I think this year it's going to be heavy on the American League to carry Major League Baseball as a whole. I mean, we're talking the Yankees. I think, as bad as I hate to say it, the Astros are going to be right up in there. Maybe they won't cheat this time. Maybe we'll see the real Astros.
Yeah.
I think the Rays are definitely in there from Tampa Bay. And the Twins, right? Over 100 wins last year.
Yeah.
Now, they got swept in that divisional round, which kind of puts the season at a loss, so to speak. It was all for nothing. But the Twins, really, really good team last year. They led the league in homers as well. That's an exciting team to watch. Out of the National League, you mentioned the Dodgers as a team you like. No doubt about that one, right? They bring in Mookie Betts, David Price as well on the pitching side of things. I like Cody Bellinger, though. I think he is definitely a rising star. Hit 405 last year, 17 homers, over 40 RBI, led the league last year in RBIs. This is a dangerous, dangerous player, and he did all of that in just 46 games. I think as he goes on now, this is like a roller coaster. They're going to have their ups, they're going to have their downs. Woes come with that. But I think Cody Bellinger is well on his way to being that new star player and replacing Clayton Kershaw as the face of the Dodgers. I think that's what we're excited to see. And also Mookie Betts. How does he work out in L.A.? He didn't want to leave Boston. He was happy with the Red Sox. You ship him out there in a deal. Now we're going to see how he fits into that outfield, replacing Jock Peterson, who's sent over to the Angels as well. Now, transitioning here from Major League Baseball over to NBA basketball, All-Star Weekend is finally here and kind of the midpoint of the season. Now, Catherine, for you, they do it differently than what they have, of course, in years past. They've done it for the last couple of seasons now where they select 2 team captains, the top 2 vote getters, and they're each allowed to draft players from the selected All-Star pool versus the old format, the old regime of East versus West. Do you like the new age versus the old age better?
I think the new age is more appealing to the people that watch the game. I feel like it's a more interactive way to get the fans involved. I personally don't think that there's a big difference between the two in regards to how the game is going to be played, because they're all great players regardless of what's going to go down. And I think it's a great way for the players to get spotlight front and center and just to show about their talents.
For me, it is more appealing because you get to see, players from each conference pitted against each other, all mixed in. I think that's neat, right? But I think it takes away the competitive edge that the All-Star game already lacked. And this is the reason that I'll give Major League Baseball props here, is because in their All-Star game, they give you something to play for, right? And the Pro Bowl, it's after the season, the week before the Super Bowl. So that's not going to matter anything. In the NBA, it's just the midpoint of the season to give the players a break. And that's fine. I get that. And an 82-game schedule is very rigorous, and I understand the break. It's rightfully deserved. But at the same time, you're putting these guys in a game that doesn't matter. I mean, we're talking about scores that are 160 to 150. That isn't basketball to me. That's not basketball at all. I think Major League Baseball should kind of almost give this formula that they have over to the NBA, where the All-Star game matters. And the All-Star game matters because home court advantage in the championship series is on the line. I mean, Major League Baseball, whoever wins the National League versus the American League, that team, that league, I should say, will have home field advantage in the World Series, 4 games to 3 games, potentially if they go all the way to 7. In the NBA, that's not the case. And I think it should be, because it gives the players an incentive to play. And it gives an incentive to make the game competitive, make the game exciting as well. Now, also for you, looking at the NBA right now as we're kind of moving forward throughout, we talked about do you feel like the All-Star game still matters?
I don't think it does, really. I think it's just like a fun way to relax and take a break from the competitiveness. It's just more of like a game that you would play with friends as opposed to one that you were trying to win competitively for a series. I don't think that people take it as seriously as they do, as you say, like the MLB All-Star game. But I just think it's a nice way to relax from the season. But there should be an incentive for the players because it is in the middle of their season.
Like I said, I feel like it's a pickup basketball game.
Yeah.
At this point, I really do. I feel like it's old school gym class, right? I pick you, I pick you, I pick you, and we're going to go play some basketball. I feel like that's what we're at right now. I feel like it just lacks the competitive edge, or takes away the competitive edge that the All-Star game already lacked, I should say. Now, moving on from NBA All-Star Weekend to short NFL offseason news, of course, football fans, we're all focused on the big XFL, right? Debuted, exciting time. Finally some football, I guess, in the time where we don't usually have football. But news came out this week that Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garrett has been reinstated to the NFL after being indefinitely suspended by Commissioner Roger Goodell after hitting Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph in a game last season with Rudolph's own helmet. Now, what an interesting, I guess, chain of events that took place that night.
Yeah.
A regular sack play goes down, they get called up, a little tussle, no big issue, it happens, right? Myles Garrett rips off the helmet of Mason Rudolph.
And then hits him over the head with his own helmet.
And strikes him, right? It could have been a lethal blow, almost. Thankfully, Rudolph was okay. Now that Myles Garrett is back, you look at it as a whole. Summarize it, he was suspended for 6 games. Was it long enough?
When it comes to NFL suspensions, you have to look at other player suspensions in the past to determine if you're being fair. I really think that this situation was not probably punished severe enough. He did miss the last 6 games, but that was just an extreme level of violence that was not necessary. I get getting worked up during the game, but he did not have to go that far.
You know, and he missed the last 6 games on a non-playoff bound team. I mean, if this had been Patrick Mahomes, this is a game changer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're taking the star quarterback off of one of the NFL's top teams. You're taking one of the best defenders off of one of the league's average teams.
It didn't make a difference for them.
It didn't make a difference. It didn't make an impact, but even more so, and I'm going to go off something you said here, is that you have to compare it to prior suspensions. For me, you do compare it to prior suspensions if this was a PED case, if this was a criminal case. We've never seen anything like this in pro football. We have never seen a player take an opposing player's helmet off of them and then swing it as a weapon towards that player. Not only that, but to the head area. We're talking about the NFL now and this big state of safety that they live in, which is great. You're only going to suspend a guy for 6 games when he takes a helmet, a hard object, and swings it at another player's unprotected head. I think this is a bad move by the NFL to go ahead and reinstate him. I truly believe he should have been suspended for not only the last 6 games, which he obviously was this past season, but the entire 2020 season as well. I mean, your actions have consequences, no matter what you do, and that goes across all aspects of life. I just feel like Myles Garrett didn't sustain the consequences he rightfully deserved in this case.
He's going to have all eyes on him. If he messes up again, he's probably going to be out.
Will he, though? Will it then just go to a year-long suspension?
I would hope that he's learned his lesson at this point, but I don't think he will have learned his lesson because his punishment was so short.
I think this just sets a bad precedent for the NFL, that essentially you can take off a player's helmet, swing it as a weapon, and only miss 6 games.
I think the NFL viewed it as, oh, he missed the last 6 games. There's a lot of time between those 6 games and when the season starts up again. So they view it as a longer period of suspension, but it's not really like that because it's not like he's missing anything.
He's still vacationing on Miami Beach, chilling in the sun. There's no issue there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's spending his summer in Cleveland getting ready for the season. I can promise you, nobody spends their summer in Cleveland, Ohio, right? Especially Browns fans. Guys, that closes out this edition of The Locker Room. Thank you for joining us today, Catherine. I appreciate you jumping in on the episode as well as, of course. Now, join us next week once again on another edition of The Locker Room. For Catherine Averill, I'm Cade Crenshaw, folks. We'll see you next time.